90% of people never heal fully because they're still trying to fix their relationship with their mother. You've been told your whole life that forgiving her will set you free. But what if that's the very thing keeping you stuck? Nobody talks about this, but here's the truth. It's not your mother who's still holding you back. It's the story your mind created about her. The voice that keeps whispering, "You're not enough." The emptiness no apology can ever fill. This will challenge everything you've been told. Because she may never change, and as long as you keep waiting for her to become the person you needed, you'll stay trapped in a prison she doesn't even see. This video isn't about blaming her. It's about finally reclaiming yourself. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll learn how to break this cycle and start living for you, not the past. 1. The mother complex as an emotional prison. Have you ever noticed how you start sounding exactly like her? Maybe it's in the way you criticize yourself when you make a mistake, or the way you apologize for simply taking up space. It's like her voice slipped under your skin and became your own. That's no coincidence. That's the mother complex in action. An emotional prison you didn't even realize you'd inherited. Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and the founder of analytical psychology, described this as a force that doesn't just live in your memories, but hides in your behaviors. It's not only about what you feel, it's about what you do. You might promise yourself you'll never repeat her patterns, yet somehow, in moments of stress, the same reactions come pouring out. You shut down when you need connection, you please when you want to say no, you criticize yourself for needs that were never met. Pause here and let that sink in. This isn't your fault. It's a survival strategy your mind built when you were too small to protect yourself. When love was conditional or inconsistent, you adapted by internalizing the rules you thought would keep you safe. Don't be too much. Don't disappoint her. Don't expect too much. Over time, those rules became your own inner judge. And here's the cruel twist. As long as you wait for her to come back and finally give you what you needed, you stay locked in that cell. You keep hoping that maybe if you're perfect enough, she'll finally see you, finally love you the right way. But the truth is, that day may never come. Take a breath. I know that hurts to hear. But stay with me, because this is where your freedom begins. When you stop waiting for her to repair what was broken and start giving yourself what you always needed, the cycle starts to weaken. It doesn't dissolve overnight. It takes courage to look at that empty space where her reassurance should have been and say, "I will fill this myself." If you've ever found yourself acting out the same drama, hoping a partner, a friend, or even your own children would heal the wound, understand this. Repeating the pattern is not healing the pattern. It's reliving it, over and over. Let's pause here for a micro recap. You learned to survive by borrowing her voice. That voice became your rules for living. Waiting for her to change keeps you in the prison. Now, let's get clear about your first step to freedom. Start by noticing when her voice shows up. Is it when you're tired? When you fail? When you're about to do something brave? Watch it like a scientist, not as a judge. Keep a journal and write down exactly what the voice says. You'll start to see it's not actually you. It's an old echo that's been running your life. And every time you hear that voice, I want you to pause and ask yourself one question. If I could speak to my younger self, what would I say instead? This small shift begins to rewrite the script. Don't expect instant relief. This work feels like losing something. And in a way, it is. You're letting go of the illusion that one day the past will come back and fix itself. You're grieving the hope that the comfort you needed will magically arrive. But you know what comes after that grief? Clarity. The clarity that no one is coming to save you. And that doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means you finally have permission to save yourself. Remember, this is just the first layer. We're going deeper into how the archetype of the mother keeps shaping your relationships and your sense of self. So stay with me, because the more you see this pattern, the less power it has over you. This is how you start to break the cycle. Not by blaming, not by pretending it didn't happen, but by recognizing that the mother who lives in your mind is not the same as the woman who raised you. And she can only keep you trapped if you let her. 2. The mother as an archetype. The mother, in Jung's words, isn't only your personal mum. She's an archetype, a deep blueprint inside you that shapes how you love, how you suffer, and how you keep searching for something you can't quite name. You might think you left it behind when you grew up. You moved out, built a career, maybe started a family of your own. But have you ever noticed how that old hunger creeps back when you feel lonely or unseen? Maybe you've caught yourself craving a partner who makes you feel safe in a way no one ever has. Or you've noticed that you expect your friends to always understand you without explanation. And when they don't, it hurts in a way that feels bigger than the moment. That's the archetype at work. Let's pause here, take a breath. This is not a flaw. It's not proof you're broken. It's proof that you're human, and your nervous system remembers what it never got. Micro recap. The mother archetype is a pattern, not a person. It fuels invisible expectations in every bond you form. Awareness is your first tool to break free. Stay with me, because in a moment, I'll show you how to turn this pattern into something you can actually work with. One woman I spoke to shared her story online. She said she kept entering relationships where she became the caretaker, giving everything, hoping to be loved back with the same devotion. But over and over, she ended up exhausted, resentful, and secretly convinced that she was unlovable. When she began therapy, she realized she wasn't looking for a partnership, she was looking for a mother. That realization changed everything. Here's the part you need to hear. Longing is not the same as love. Longing is the echo of what was missing. And if you don't make it conscious, you'll keep trying to get it from people who cannot give it to you. So what can you do instead? Step 1. Notice when you expect someone to anticipate your needs without you saying a word. When you catch yourself feeling hurt because they didn't ask, whose approval am I really chasing? Step 2. Offer yourself what you're hoping someone else will give you. If you crave reassurance, say to yourself, you're safe here. You matter. If you need comfort, put your hand over your heart and breathe slowly. These tiny acts are the first cracks in the old story. Step 3. Begin practicing radical honesty. When you want something, name it. When you feel disappointed, share it. Stop waiting to be rescued from the inside out. Micro recap. You can't heal the past by reenacting it. Self-compassion is how you end the cycle. Honest expression is more powerful than silent hope. Stay with me, because in the next section, we'll talk about how this same archetype fuels perfectionism and why you still feel like you're never enough, no matter what you achieve. Before we go on, I want you to remember this. You don't have to keep living as if you're still waiting for someone to fill the gaps. You can learn to fill them yourself. And yes, it will feel unfamiliar. It might even feel lonely. But that loneliness is temporary. It's just the space that opens up when you stop chasing old ghosts. One last micro recap before we move on. This isn't about blaming your mother. It's about recognizing how the architect shaped you. And it's about choosing to become your own source of safety. To take a breath. We are not done yet. The next part will show you why your constant striving is often just another way of trying to prove you deserved the love you never received. Stay with me, because this awareness could be the doorway to everything you've been looking for. If this video is helping you see things differently, please share it with someone you care about. It could be a small gift that makes their day a little lighter. 3. Deconstructing the idealized mother. It's tempting to keep your mother on a pedestal or locked away as the villain of your story. You tell yourself that if you just decide she was either perfect or terrible, it will all make sense. But life doesn't work like that. One day, you might remember how she comforted you when you were sick and think, maybe I exaggerated all the pain. Another day, you'll feel the old ache of her absence and think, no, she really did fail me. This back and forth is normal. It's the mind trying to create certainty where there is none. Here's a story that might sound familiar. A woman I coached shared that she spent years idolizing her mother, always saying she sacrificed everything for me. But when she became a parent herself, she felt a wave of resentment she couldn't explain. In therapy, she realized she had never grieved the ways her mother was also absent. She was still chasing approval from someone who didn't have it to give. That's why idealization is so dangerous. It keeps you stuck in a loop of longing and guilt. You can't heal what you refuse to see. Let's pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and let this sink in. Micro recap. Idealization and resentment are two sides of the same coin. Both are defenses that block your growth. Awareness is the bridge to something healthier. Stay with me, because in a minute, I'll show you the first practical step to break free from this cycle. So what do you do instead of idolizing her? You stop by telling yourself the truth. She was human. She was imperfect. She had wounds you'll never fully understand. And sometimes, what she had to give was far less than you needed. This doesn't mean you have to forgive everything. It doesn't mean you have to pretend it didn't hurt. It means you stop expecting her to be someone she never was. You might feel resistance bubbling up right now. Part of you wants to hold on to the fantasy that one day she will change, apologize, or finally see you. But holding on to that hope keeps you locked in emotional childhood. Let's be honest. You don't need your mother anymore. You need a stronger you, a more compassionate you, a version of you who doesn't abandon yourself the moment someone else can't meet your needs. Imagine this. What if the love you're waiting for isn't coming from the outside at all? What if it's something you must create inside you? Pause and reflect. You can't rebuild your self-worth on top of a fantasy. Seeing her humanity gives you permission to own your own. You don't have to stay loyal to her story to respect her. Here's a clear step you can take today. Write down 3 things about your mother that were true, not idealized, not demonized, just facts. For example, she worked long hours. She rarely hugged me. She tried her best with what she knew. Sit with those truths. Notice the discomfort. That discomfort is the doorway to your healing. In the next section, we'll explore how these old patterns show up in your adult relationships, especially when you find yourself needing constant reassurance or feeling you're never good enough. For now, remember this: healing isn't about changing her, It's about changing the way you hold her story inside you. Stay here with me. We're just getting to the part that could transform how you see every relationship you've ever had. And if this is stirring something raw inside you, that's a good sign. It means you're ready to stop living on autopilot and start living with awareness. Take a breath. We'll move forward together. 4. Self-compassion as the path to healing. Let's be honest. Most people think healing is going to feel good. Like one day you'll wake up, look in the mirror, and feel instantly whole. But the truth is, real healing often feels like breaking. It feels like sitting with memories you'd rather burn, like hearing your own voice inside whispering, "You were never enough," and finally daring to answer back. This is where self-compassion comes in, not as a cute idea on a Pinterest board, but as the only real path out of the prison your past built for you. Picture this. You're in an argument with your partner, and suddenly you feel 5 years old again. You're not even arguing about the dishes. You're fighting to prove you deserve love. If you pause right there and ask yourself, who am I really seeing? You'll notice it's not the person in front of you. It's the echo of the parent who never gave you what you needed. That realization alone can feel like your heart is splitting open. And it should, because that split is how you finally see the difference between what happened and who you are now. Take a moment to notice when you demand unconditional love. Is it really about this relationship? Or is it an old wound begging for a repair it will never get? These questions are your flashlight. They help you see through the fog. And sure, it will feel like too much some days, like you're drowning in old sadness. But don't run. Don't reach for the easy distraction. Sit with that child inside you. Let them cry. Let them rage. Because they've been waiting decades to be heard. Here's where so many people get stuck. They try to patch over this pain with cliches. They say, just think positive, or be grateful it wasn't worse. But you and I both know that doesn't work. Healing requires something more radical. Compassion for the parts of you you've been taught to hate. The scared part, the angry part, the part that still thinks it's unworthy. When you hear that voice inside blaming you, pause. Instead of believing it, ask it, whose voice are you really? You'll be shocked how often it's not even yours. It's your mother's anxiety, your father's frustration, your culture's expectations. And you've been repeating them in your own head without question. Visualize this moment like standing at the threshold of a house you've outgrown. You could stay in the cramped rooms forever, telling yourself it's safe because it's familiar. Or you could step into something bigger, something unknown. That step is self-compassion, the willingness to meet yourself as you are, without judgment. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it honest. Because every time you abandon yourself by overworking, overgiving, or pretending, you're reliving the first abandonment. The moment you learned that love had to be earned, that you had to hide your feelings to stay acceptable. But here's your permission to do it differently. To pause when you're exhausted instead of shaming yourself. To comfort yourself when you fail instead of punishing yourself. To remind yourself that you matter simply because you exist. If you feel resistance rising in your chest right now, that's normal. That's the old programming fighting to survive. That's the fear saying, if you stop striving, you'll disappear. But let's be clear, you won't disappear. You'll finally arrive, fully, as you are. And isn't that what you've always wanted? Before we go further, take a slow breath. Put your hand over your heart. Feel the truth. You're not broken. You're tired. You're tired of carrying expectations you never chose, tired of performing, tired of apologizing for your own humanity. Self-compassion is not weakness, it's medicine, and it's the only medicine that works when everything else has failed. So here's a small, practical step to try today. The next time you hear that cruel voice, respond as if you were talking to a child you love. Soft words, warm tone, no shame. Because the way you speak to yourself will set the tone for everything else. And if you're thinking this sounds too simple to matter, stay with me. Because in the next section, we'll talk about exactly why no one else can heal this for you, and how learning to mother yourself will become the foundation of every healthy relationship you build from here. So don't click away yet. What comes next could be the shift you've been needing. If this resonates with you, leave a comment sharing how you feel right now. Your words might help someone else feel less alone. 5. Breaking the invisible loyalty. Have you ever noticed how a part of you still feels like a child, standing quietly in the corner, hoping your mother will finally see you, finally tell you she's proud? That small part of you doesn't understand that time has moved on, that you're no longer 5, that you don't have to keep waiting for permission to live. This is what psychologists call invisible loyalty. It's not love, it's not respect, it's a hidden vow your heart made before you even knew the words to describe it. A promise that said, I won't be happier than you. I won't be freer than you. I won't heal until you do. And this invisible contract has been dictating your choices for years. Pause here. Breathe. Think about the moments you almost stepped into something better. A promotion, a healthy relationship, a big dream, and then you pulled back. You told yourself you weren't ready. But the truth? Part of you felt disloyal, as if moving forward would be betraying her. This is the trap no one talks about. The belief that your pain somehow honors your mother's story, that your unhappiness keeps you connected. But staying small doesn't heal her wounds, and it certainly doesn't heal yours. Here's a micro recap before we keep going. You are not betraying her by choosing to live fully. You're honoring the gift she gave you, life itself, by multiplying it, not reducing it. Let me give you an example. A client I worked with spent years in relationships where she never felt truly seen. Every time a partner got close to loving her, she sabotaged it. She didn't understand why until she faced this hidden vow. If I let myself be loved, I'll prove my mother was wrong to never offer it. And in her mind, that felt like treason. It took her months to realize that her mother's limits were not her destiny. And maybe you recognize a piece of yourself in that story. Maybe you feel that ache in your chest right now. That's your sign to stay here with me, because in a moment, I'll show you exactly how to start breaking this cycle. But first, ask yourself, how many of your decisions are still shaped by the shadow of that invisible loyalty? The jobs you didn't take, the boundaries you never set, the dreams you watered down. What part of your life are you still offering up as proof that you love her? Remember, you can love someone and still outgrow the story you shared. That is not betrayal, it's evolution. It's saying, Mom, thank you for everything you could give, but I am ready to go further. Keep watching, because next we'll uncover the practical steps to release this loyalty without resentment. And you'll learn why honoring yourself doesn't mean abandoning anyone. Clear step right now. Write down this sentence and repeat it every morning. My life does not have to be a repetition of my mother's pain. Feel how it lands in your body. Notice the discomfort. That discomfort is the old pattern losing power. If you feel resistance rising, that's normal. The child in you is scared. It believes letting go of this contract means losing connection forever. But here's the truth. You're not losing connection. You're finding a healthier one. One built on choice, not obligation. Let's pause for a micro recap. You are not her. Her wounds are not your blueprint. You get to choose a new path. Picture that old invisible string slowly dissolving. See yourself stepping forward without it. Feel the space it leaves behind. That's room for your own identity to grow. Stay with me, because in the next section, we'll talk about how to build a new sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on repeating your mother's story. This is the part most people never reach, but you're here, and that already proves you have the courage to heal. 6. Overcoming emotional self-abandonment. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard you work on yourself, it feels like there's always a quiet voice telling you you're still not enough? You get promoted. You finally find someone who cares. But at night, that voice comes back. The one that whispers, "You don't deserve this. You're failing. You're unlovable." That voice isn't yours. It's the echo of the mother archetype that still lives in your unconscious. And here's the brutal truth. You're not just haunted by your mother's absence or criticism. You've internalized her as your own judge. Pause for a moment and really feel this. Imagine a child who learned early that to be loved, they had to disappear. They had to be quiet, helpful, never complain. That child grew up, but the strategy didn't. It became emotional self-abandonment. If you keep watching, you'll learn the simplest, most powerful steps to break this cycle, steps most people never hear. So stay with me. Let's talk about the pattern. Every time you deny your exhaustion and push yourself harder, every time you swallow your feelings to keep the peace, every time you blame yourself for needing comfort, you are reliving that old script. If I ignore my needs, maybe I'll finally be accepted. Micro recap. You're not failing because you're weak. You're repeating what you were taught. And it gets more twisted. The more you abandon yourself, the more you crave rescue. You start hoping that someone, anyone, will finally show up and give you what you refuse to give yourself. But the paradox is this. No one can love you enough to fill the space you keep empty. Here's a true story. A woman in her 40s told me she couldn't understand why she always felt so hollow. She had a good job, a loving partner, but she still woke up every day dreading herself. One day she realized she talked to herself the way her mother once did. Harsh, dismissive, never satisfied. That was the moment she decided to reparent herself. That's what you have to do too. Start by becoming your own internal mother. No more waiting for the world to treat you gently. You have to do it first. Clear steps. When you're exhausted, don't push. Rest without guilt. When you're scared, don't shame yourself. Soothe yourself like you would a child. When you fail, don't attack. Speak gently. It's okay. You tried. It might feel foreign at first. After all, you were trained to be your own executioner. But this new language, self-compassion, is not weakness. It's the only antidote to the poison of self-abandonment. Let's pause here for another micro recap. You are not your inner critic. That voice is borrowed, it's time to question it. Every time that voice tells you you're falling behind, I want you to ask it, whose voice are you? You'll see, it's not yours. It never was. Imagine this visual, you standing eye to eye with the critic in your mind and gently saying, you can't drive my life anymore. In a moment, I'll share a simple practice you can do today to start dismantling that voice. But first, you need to understand this. Self-abandonment is not a failure of character. It's a survival tactic you learned when you were too small to know better. But you're not small anymore. Here's the practice. Each night, before bed, place your hand on your heart and ask, what did I need today that I didn't give myself? Then, promise to meet that need tomorrow. One small step. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to do it differently. That's what healing looks like. Not flawless progress, but a steady refusal to keep betraying yourself. And if you're thinking, this feels too hard, let me remind you, the hardest part isn't learning self-care. It's unlearning the habit of abandoning yourself. Let's take a breath and look at what you've just done. You've faced the truth that you've been carrying pain that wasn't yours to begin with. You've learned that healing doesn't come from waiting for someone else to make it right. It comes when you decide to stop abandoning yourself. And you've seen that the voice in your head, the one that doubts, judges, and pushes you, isn't really your own. I know this isn't easy, but this awareness is the beginning of real freedom. The kind of freedom that doesn't need permission. The kind that doesn't ask for approval. The kind that grows when you choose yourself over the old patterns. I want you to imagine a life where you no longer live from what was missing, but from what you can create. Where your scars don't define you, they guide you toward deeper compassion. Where every choice you make feels like a declaration. I am not repeating the story, I'm writing a new one. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You don't have to heal perfectly. You just have to heal honestly. That's enough. And if you're ready to start living as your own protector, your own comfort, your own source of strength, tell me in the comments. Write, I am the end of the pattern. Let that be your commitment to yourself and to everyone else who needs permission to do the same. Before you go, remember, this is just the first step. In the next video, we'll explore how to build relationships that don't recreate old wounds but help you grow. So stay with me. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it will set you free. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Be brave enough to sit with what hurts. And when you feel ready, take one small action that proves you're no longer living on autopilot. You've come this far. You're already changing. And that, more than anything, is the start of a life that finally feels like yours.